An entitled Karen tries to steal my bird off of my hand in public, claiming that I don't deserve to have a bird like this and that she should have my bird instead. And I've never been more angry or flabbergasted by an interaction in my life. Here's what happened. So to start things out, I decided today is the perfect day to pop the harness on my bird. They're a sulfur-crested cockatoo, and I wanted to take her out to PetSmart. So I got her in her carrier, put the carrier into the car, and on the road we went. She did remarkably well and didn't even get car sick. But you know what tiny detail I forgot? People talk to you if you bring a bird to a store, whether you want them to or not. Now, I'm very good at dealing with people. Years of retail work, restaurant work, stuff like that. All of this has trained me in the art of small talk. The PetSmart workers were fantastic, actually. They asked the basic general questions. No one asked to touch her. Everyone kept a respectful distance and didn't overwhelm her or me. But the other customers of the store, not so much. There was one woman in particular who really caused me problems, and that's the entitled Karen of this story. She told me about all the birds she had at her house. She stopped me to chat, asked me about my bird, and I gave the condensed version of the story. My bird is 15, she's nearly 16 years old. She came from an older couple who wanted a younger home for her. She's doing great and she's the love of my life, as well as all the other things I could possibly say about my bird. So this entitled Karen then asked me, so she's almost 16 years old? How long have you had her? I explained that I've had her for about 4.5 months now. Have you ever had a cockatoo before? I then explained that no, she's my first large bird, and I feel very lucky to have her in my life. This entitled Karen then says something to me that absolutely blows my mind. She says, you shouldn't have her. You don't have the experience with large birds, and you're too young to have one. You don't even look like you have your own life together. And then after she said that, she started to reach for my bird. She was actually going to take my bird away, and I could not believe what was happening in front of me. Now, I would have loved to pretend like I had some kind of witty comeback. I thought of all the good responses in the last couple of hours since we've been back home, and I've had a minute to process exactly what happened. In reality, though, I came back with the unbearably witty retort of saying, what? Because, you know, I am a brilliant person under pressure. I stepped back, put my cart between us, and said, nope, we're not doing this. And I turned around and I walked out. Hours later, I have gone back in my head and told her off 10 ways to Sunday. In the moment, I was so flabbergasted. Someone actually tried to take my bird away from me. Like she literally tried to grab my bird off of my hand. After that happened, I don't think we're going to have another field trip anytime soon. I think we'll just stick to the yard. This was a stupid experience, and I would have enjoyed it more if I had enough brain power to yell at her and embarrass her for even thinking of trying something like that. She deserved to be horrifically embarrassed. I'm so mad about the whole thing. I'm still shaken up about it, and I'm now going to dwell on it for probably the next lifetime. This story made me unbelievably angry. Did this entitled Karen really think that the original poster would somehow give over this bird to this lady and say, oh yes, of course, random stranger, you can have this bird that I love and care for? Like if I brought my pet to the pet store and someone approached me like that trying to take my animal, I think I would have lost my mind. Like there's no way that's happening. And I think in the moment, I don't blame the original poster for not having a witty comeback. You did the absolute right thing. You put the cart between you and this crazy Karen, and you said to her, no, we are not doing this. And that's all you really needed to do. It also makes me question how this lady got her other birds. Has she tried this before? I mean, clearly she feels comfortable enough trying to take other people's birds that she probably thought this was going to be the fourth one that she was going to grab. I think if anything, the best thing to do after this is maybe call up the store and give a description of this woman and explain exactly what she tried to do in the store. They might even have CCTV footage that would expose exactly what she did, because that's unacceptable. Like that is seriously sketchy behavior, and it's so crazy that someone would do that. So good for you for protecting your bird from this crazy Karen, because I can't imagine what would have happened if she actually got her hands on your bird and tried to run away. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. An entitled Karen comes out of nowhere, tries to bully me during the middle of me directing a show, and starts demanding I do certain things for my technician job. And I've honestly never been more annoyed in my life by someone's stupid behavior. Here's what happened. So I work at a lot of very high-end corporate events as a freelance technician. As my job dictates, I coordinate with a showrunner to get our run of a show together so we can all be on the same page. Now for this show, the showrunner was very frazzled, but also very nice, which is pretty common. On show day, there's a lot of stress on them. them. So a big part of my job is to help calm their nerves and let them know that we've got this. So the show starts and I'm directing it, operating the video switch between inputs from a PowerPoint laptop, a Zoom conference laptop, and 2 cameras. As you can imagine, it's a lot of stuff to stay on top of. As the show's going along, suddenly a woman comes over to the tech table and starts talking to me during the show, which is a big no-no. She then starts making demands on my switching method. She looks at me and says, "I want to see the people on the Zoom call only." And when I said this, I politely acknowledge her request, and she goes back to her seat. The thing is, the client paid us to set up a robotic cam to face the audience specifically so they could be seen by the remote presenters on Zoom. And the showrunner themselves had specifically asked me to switch to the audience during the question and answer part of the sessions. So I had been switching to audience members asking questions to the Zoom presenters, which apparently this woman did not like. So the next session we have a Zoom panel call going, and the host picks up the mic to interact with the call. So my instinct was to switch to them since he was on stage, and I assumed that her request was about audience members asking questions. Well, it wasn't. She once again comes running over to my desk and says to me, "Why is he on the screen? I told you I wanted them on the screen. Who's your boss? I told you this already." Now, when this entitled Karen was screaming at me, I'm honestly just not sure who this was. And at this point, I'm close to telling her that I am my own boss, and she can run the show the rest of the way if she wants to. But thankfully for her, it was close to lunch break. To their credit though, both of the on-site AV managers and the showrunner apologized to me. They also told me that this entitled Karen was generally a giant pain in the neck who suddenly decided that she wanted to direct the show that she had not helped organize, but just wanted to throw her weight around. Thankfully, the rest of the show went great, and I was left alone by this entitled Karen. And to top it all off, we all had a good laugh about her as we wrapped up the show. It is really good that your colleagues had your back. I personally can't stand it when people like this, who have no authority or who have no idea of what they're talking about, try to throw their weight around as if they have any clue of what's going on. Like, why on earth would she run up to this desk when these people are trying to do their job? Like, they already have enough to deal with, and they already have enough problems on their plate that they're trying to make sure doesn't become bigger problems. Like, there's literally nothing worse than somebody who doesn't know what they're doing trying to bark orders at you as if they do know what they're doing. And you can bet if this person followed exactly what this entitled Karen was trying to get them to do, it probably would have fallen apart, and she would have been the last person to stand up and try and fix the problem. So good for you for standing up for yourself and standing your ground. She didn't know what she was talking about, and that show seriously would have suffered if you listened to anything that she wanted to say. My family doesn't approve of my boyfriend no matter what I do, and at this point, I'm seriously at a loss of how to move forward. So I've been dating my boyfriend for 5 months now. Everything has been great. He treats me like a queen, makes me feel safe and loved, communicates nicely, takes me on trips, and then some. I've met his parents and they are both great. We talk about everything, and they do not want to interfere with our relationship. They just support us. My boyfriend has had a very hard life growing up. He was working when he was 5 years old and still works a lot. He is financially stable and has his own farm, as well as his own house and cars. He is well educated and knows many things. My family, on the other hand, is a complete opposite. My mom has always been a victim who did everything to support me and my brother, even though that's not entirely true. Because in reality, she was always just helping my brother. My father doesn't care about anything. He has a job, but gives some money to my brother, who lives separately with his fiance, and keeps the rest for himself. I was always the one who paid all the bills, bought the food and clothes for everyone, and needed to provide for everything. When I was growing up, I was more hungry than full. Nobody cared. Now, my current boyfriend came over to bring me some sawdust, as I have some chickens, and my parents wanted to meet him. He was very positive and very respectful, never said anything bad to them, and he was a bit dirty since he was working all day long. But to them, that's the end of the world. He came over when we had a religious celebration last weekend and dressed nicely and was very clean. But my mom made jokes about how he needs to cook for her and bring her food. Now, last Friday, he came over again, bringing me the sawdust and wearing his work clothes. My mother and grandmother actually attacked me the next morning for that, but I just told them that I don't care. My mom asked him to take me, her, and my brother's fiance to see her parents, who live in the countryside and have a farm as well. He accepted, of course, and she was extremely disrespectful and rude towards him, and I told her to shut it and mind her own business. When my grandpa and grandma saw my boyfriend, they made jokes about how I'm so much better looking than him, that we won't be equals when we get married, lied, as well as many other hurtful things. This morning, my grandma, who lives with us, started hysterically crying, calling him names and telling me I should be ashamed of myself for dating him, since he doesn't know how to dress. My father said he was going to disown me if I continue this relationship, and my mother was yelling at him, calling him the worst possible names, all because he doesn't dress how she likes and doesn't talk the way that we do. I'm now at such a loss, and I seriously don't know what to do. Your family is just straight up toxic. I mean, there's no other way of putting it. They are just mean, nasty people, and they're just gonna be really overdramatic, pretty much regardless of who you bring over. And I think that's something that you just need to understand first and foremost. They really will not like anyone you bring over, and they probably don't want him to step into the picture, because if you leave the family, that means the rest of them are gonna have to step up and actually work for once. Because you said it yourself, you've been working incredibly hard ever since you were a kid, and you've always been forced to provide for your family. Clothes, food, everything, it sounds like. And that's not fair for you in the slightest. Your parents have failed in that regard. So if I was in your shoes, and I had a partner that was as good as this guy that you're describing, then for starters, I would stop bringing him over to your house, and also think of ways that I could move out. There's no way I'm gonna live in that environment. For context, the original poster is 22 years old, and their boyfriend is 26. And while the prospect of moving out is probably a little scary, based on how much you work and how determined you are to get things done and have some semblance of independence, I seriously don't think you're gonna have any problem finding something that can help you get out of there. Because it sounds like your parents are taking advantage of you, and they probably just see you as free labor at the end of the day. So hopefully this all works out for you, because regardless of what your toxic family says, you have a good relationship, and I really would not let them try to dissuade you from pursuing something that makes you happy. My girlfriend brought a guy home from a bar alone, and later told me that he tried to make a move on her after she made him some food and had some drinks talking on her couch. And now that I've learned about all this information, I am so angry, and I seriously don't know what to do. So this story involves me and my girlfriend. We have been together for 2 years, and things have been very good and intimate until now. My girlfriend has talked a couple of times to this guy at the local bar. They have had very drunk, deep talks about feelings, and he seems like a sad guy. My girlfriend loves these kinds of talks, and I don't talk much about my feelings. She told me he is so understanding and likes talking about feelings. I have been introduced to this guy by my girlfriend, and I have seen the way that he looks at her, because this guy is looking at my girlfriend with lust. So I told her that this guy obviously wants something a little bit more than to talk about feelings, but she dismissed me and said that she really didn't think so. He apparently knows that she has a boyfriend, and that is more than enough reassurance for her to know that this guy's not going to do anything. Fast forward to 1 week later, and I'm at work. She is out with friends at that bar. My girlfriend invites everyone over to her place to continue the party, but everyone dismisses it except for this one guy again. She says that she didn't want to leave him hanging, so the two of them went back to her place. She makes him food, gets him something to drink, and they continue talking. After a while, he starts hitting on her and stroking on her back and on her legs. She tells him that she is not interested, but he doesn't seem to care. And still, even after that approach, she still lets him sleep on the couch. She told me it got very uncomfortable very quickly, and that she didn't want to throw him out or make a big deal about it. The next morning, he leaves early without saying anything, and she meets up with me to tell me. I am mad, because she invited the guy I specifically told her wants a little bit more than to talk about feelings. And she did this in the middle of the night alone at her place. I'm also mad that someone acted creepy and inappropriate towards my girlfriend. And I've got to be honest, it's incredibly hard to balance. But she doesn't understand why I'm mad, asking me things like if I'm jealous or stuff like that. And then I get angry and can't even think straight. So I don't know if it's a big deal or not. I don't want to talk to my friends or family about it before I get some insight from strangers online. What should I do? Your girlfriend is entirely and completely in the wrong. She invited a guy over to her place, made him food, and then had some drinks. And by the way, this is the same guy you warned her about. Like, she literally knew what she was getting into, and she played the nice route and let him into her life. She either has questionable judgment or she's a complete idiot. Like, if my partner went and hung out with someone who I've said I think they have a crush on you, and they did that alone, drunk in their apartment, I would personally be having a very serious talk about our relationship. That is just incredibly inappropriate. And I'm also a big believer that when someone shows you who they are, you should believe them. And right now, your girlfriend is showing you that she just does not care about your relationship, and she would rather play nice with some guy who clearly wants something a little bit more than food, drinks, and to talk about his feelings. I mean, this is also a good example of how being rude and just saying no, you can't come into my house, could have saved this lady a lot of trouble. So I personally would take this seriously and not let this slide, because in my eyes, this is a deal breaker and some serious changes need to be made. Otherwise, this is just not going to end well. My younger brother is dating a toxic girlfriend, and after telling him so many times that she is being awful to him, he simply won't get the picture, and at this point, I don't know what to do. So my younger brother and I are quite close. We have two older brothers who don't really speak to us or have anything to do with us, but they talk to each other all the time. So we naturally became close with each other growing up. So he started dating a girl that he met on Hinge almost a year ago. At first, she seemed, from what he told us, as a normal and okay person. She lives an hour away from us, so it is a long-distance relationship. He drives to see her every 2 weeks, and the first 2 months he didn't want to tell us about her in case it didn't work out, which was fair. So then, after they were together for a few months, we started hearing more and more about her slowly, and she seemed decent from the little that he has told us. We still don't really know what she looks like, as he never showed any kind of pictures of her. Only a glimpse of a small one on his phone lock screen, and she has never come over, and we still never met her. But as time went on, we noticed he talks to her a little too much. Their text messages are a mile long and are constant throughout the day, every day. We can't have a conversation with him because he is on his phone just texting, even if you're actively talking to him. She also wants to call and talk on the phone for at least 2 hours every night. If he does not do this or has no time or something like that, then she will get mad and start an argument, basically saying he doesn't care about her and cares about his family and friends and school way more than her. Even on my birthday a couple of months ago, she still demanded that he should talk to her and text her, and interrupted my birthday all day, as well as during the dinner outing at a restaurant. She starts a fight with him over something very trivial and juvenile almost every day, and if not then, every week. A few months back, she went through his followers on Instagram and made him unfollow a girl she doesn't know at all for seemingly no other reason besides the fact that this girl is super pretty. This woman is a mutual acquaintance of my brother and I that we worked with, and who is in a committed relationship for a few years now with her own boyfriend, who my brother doesn't even talk to at all, but still had her as a follower because of how nice she was. But this girl he's dating still made him unfollow her. A few weeks ago, I was at the store and trying to call our mom, who wasn't answering the phone. I called my brother asking what she's doing and have her text me back. Well, unbeknownst to me, my brother was on the phone with his girlfriend at the time. He asked her to hang on while he answered me real quick and call her right back, but she did not like that and was angry that he took my call and apparently hung up on her. Now, the best part is something that recently happened that I'm surprised wasn't the final straw with my brother. As I said before, we're quite close, so we have some pictures together, mostly silly Snapchat filter ones. Apparently, one popped up on his phone memories one day of us that she saw when he was with her. It was us sitting on his bed in his room, with both of us with our heads together, smiling with a mud mask filter. She got super upset. She said that she thinks it's just weird how close we are, saying that it's super weird that I was in his room and on his bed, basically insinuating it's weird because she thinks something scandalous was going on. Yeah, with my brother, are you kidding? She was seriously making a big deal out of an innocent sibling picture. Now, once again, I've never met this girl yet. She's never met me. We have never spoken to each other in any way, and she has already said months back that she is accusing my brother of caring about me, specifically his sister, more than her. Apparently, I can't even have a close relationship with my brother or even talk to him. I asked my brother if he thought it would be an issue with her if I was a guy instead. Do you think she would make it an issue if I was ugly? I personally don't think so. From things she has done so far, I think that she is quite insecure and incredibly immature. Even though I'm his sister, for God's sakes, she's worried about me stealing him away from her, as well as trying to make him weirded out, thinking our close relationship is something that it definitely would never be. My brother, of course, did not like what she was saying about me, but is still with her because they have good moments sometimes. It is sort of hurtful for me because he is apparently okay with her talking garbage about his own family. She also said, after my brother asked her why she's still friends with a problematic girl, that he can't tell her who to be friends with. But for one, he didn't say that, and two, she can still tell him who to follow and who not to follow. He said he simply didn't like her friend because of the bad things that she told him about her, and simply said that he didn't like her. But since she was mad about my brother not liking her friend, who she has constantly talked garbage about, she then had to immaturely retaliate by attacking one of his friends, whom she doesn't know in the slightest. So now she is not only causing issues with his family, but now one of his best friends. When he goes to see her, it's purely a physical relationship, if you know what I mean. And I just pray that he doesn't get her pregnant. My parents and I are just hoping that they break up soon. I've told him I'm not sure why he just doesn't break up with her, as he is super stressed out all of the time because of her. He claims he's not just with her for quality time, if you know what I mean. He will just not end things with her, and I'm not sure what to do. We've all tried giving him advice, and I hate seeing him in a toxic and awful situation as well as a relationship. One of our older brothers is married and is on the verge of divorce with a woman who is almost just like this girl. So it seems like he would somehow learn from that, but this just doesn't seem like the case. I truthfully don't even want to meet her at this point, as she's already trying to start something with me by forcing my brother to pick her over me and everyone else in his life. She apparently is not close with her family and her own brother, so she doesn't get it or understand where he's coming from when he just says that he loves his family. But that also doesn't mean that just because she's not close with any of them, that I can't be close with my own brother. I'm not sure what to tell him anymore. He seems to not know that none of this is normal in a relationship. Anytime we get on the topic of her, he says he doesn't want to talk about it and he's stressed out enough. I'm taking him out for a belated 21st birthday drink soon, and I know he'll be texting her the entire time, and she will get mad because he's spending time with me. What should I do? This is really an unfortunate situation. Your brother is in a toxic relationship, and this lady is seriously trying to drive him away from his family and friends. Like, this is some narcissistic behavior in my opinion. She is trying to isolate him and basically control every aspect of his life. And I'm on your side. I wouldn't want to meet this lady at all either. She sounds awful, she sounds controlling, and she seriously is just dragging him into a horrible place. And I, for one, would not want that in my life. Nor would I want this in my siblings' life. This seriously sounds awful. So I think having one last good conversation with him and laying out everything that she is actively doing to him might somehow have some kind of effect in helping him see the truth. She is toxic and she is only going to cause him harm. And while you can't control your brother's behavior, hopefully you're able to get through to him. Because obviously you love your brother and you don't want to see him get dragged down by this toxic girlfriend. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, use the playlist at the top of the description. And if you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out in the description below and subscribe.